Okay, so we're going to look at how to construct a persuasive argument. You will be expected to write something persuasive in your paper 2. Question 5 will ask you to put forward a point of view to argue a point. Now, the best way that you can do this, that we've looked at, is to start by stating your point of view, so develop your point of view, build up your argument, back up your argument, preferably with evidence or expert opinion, move on to acknowledge that there are counter-arguments, there are other points of view, and neutralise those points of view, so explain why those other points of view are wrong, and then just go on to further your argument, further develop your argument. So looking at this essay here that you looked at a couple of weeks ago, we can see here that the writer takes a while to really state their point of view. That's absolutely fine. They've given us some foundation. They're talking about homework as a whole, what homework, the purpose of homework, what the perceived purpose of homework is. And then in this second paragraph, that's where we can see them strongly stating their point of view. So they're saying, however, not everyone agrees. Even among teachers, there is a great debate regarding the place of homework. And they're starting to question some of these things that they drew out in the first paragraph. So we can see from this, their point of view is they're questioning the worth of homework. They're sort of speculating as to whether it's really worth as much as it says it is. And they are giving reasons as well, so they're building their argument as well in this. So they're saying that some argue that without supervision and support, homework is often too difficult for students to complete, leaving them confused and dissatisfied with their education, which is the strongest argument against homework, really. This paragraph here is where they start to back up, build up their argument, and also back it up with evidence. So they're going on to explain that it benefits students who have well-educated or richer parents, ones who can either complete the homework for the students or hire tutors to help them. And they've got a nice bit here as well. They're referring to a study where it's studies have continually shown that homework directly disenfranchises those students that education should be helping the most, ones from poorer and less well-educated backgrounds. So they've got a bit of evidence to back that up as well. Some of you may have noticed that that is actually quite an opinionated piece. I mean, they've come out and stated their opinion that education should be helping people from poorer and less well-educated backgrounds the most. That may not be an opinion everyone agrees on, but still, they're using evidence to back up their opinion there. So they then move on to acknowledge that there is a counter-argument. They're saying here, homework can serve a purpose. When students are completing mock exams, it's quite handy if they are completing mock questions at home. There's no need for them to be sat in a classroom for 2 hours or whatever, completing the mock paper if they can do so at home. So they've acknowledged the counter-argument here, and then they've gone on to neutralise it. They've neutralised it by saying that, fair enough, there is an argument that homework can be useful for students preparing for exams or having to memorise vast chunks of information. They're then saying it's unfortunately very clear, however, that the vast majority of homework does not fall into this category. So they are saying that there is an argument for homework, but most homework doesn't fit into that very small category of getting students ready to pass a test. Most of it, as the author says here, from their point of view, is that it serves a pointless, frustrating waste of time for students already struggling with the demands of school. So they have given their argument, they've stated their point of view, they've built up their argument, they've backed it up with evidence, they have acknowledged that there is a counter-argument, and they've neutralised that counter-argument, and then they've gone on to further their argument. So it's just to bring the entire argument to a close, really, with a nice conclusion, furthering their point of view, which is, broadly speaking, that things aren't going to change anytime soon, largely because education as a profession is often the slowest change. They've done a nice little piece here. They're comparing homework to the fact that a few decades ago it was considered perfectly fine just to get students to repeat facts over and over again in the hopes they'd sink in. And they're saying that they hope that homework goes the same way as learning by rote in the near future. So they've drawn everything together in a nice little conclusion there. So that is how you develop an argument, by stating your point of view, by building up your argument, by backing up your argument, by acknowledging there is a counter-argument and neutralising it. The very best responses do get marks for acknowledging counter-arguments. If you do not acknowledge there is a counter-argument to what you're saying, then what's the point in you putting it forward? If there's not a counter-argument, then clearly there's no debate to be had about it. So you need to acknowledge the counter-argument and explain why that counter-argument is wrong, and then conclude, further your argument, and just draw everything to a close.